It is 9:09 Pacific Daylight Time. It's the 21st day of August, 2025, and this is episode 1152 of Bitcoin. And who rugged Rogoff? Well, that's the title of a Bitcoin Magazine article that I will be reading you. If you were wondering who this Rogoff guy is, we'll get some context. And then I guess they're all out there in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and that would be the Federal Reserve guys, the governors. And one of them has said that there's, quote, nothing scary about, quote, crypto. And then Arthur Hayes is going to be in the news today. My question is always this: why? When you get $1 billion or several $1 billion worth of money, whatever format it's in, you always start messing around with God's creation. Arthur Hayes has joined the Billionaires Club. He's going to be messing around with God's creation. I don't get it. I've never understood this at all. Then Steak and Shake has realized some pretty good benefits by having people, their customers, in fact, pay them in Bitcoin. And then Trump-backed World Liberty Coin is, their stable coin is in the news. But first, let's hear from this jackass out of the United Kingdom. It's for the children.
This is the biggest step forward in child safety since the internet was created. There is, since Friday last week, children and parents will notice the difference in the experience that children have. Most children do not go looking for harmful and dangerous and pornographic content. Most children actually have found that the content has come to find them. That's why we've acted so decisively in this. And for everybody who's out there thinking of using VPNs, let me just say to you directly, verifying your age keeps a child safe, keeps children safe in our country. So let's just not try and find a way around. Just prove your age, make the internet safer for children, make it a better experience for everyone. That's surely what we should aspire to in this country.
Oh, shut up. Just honestly, man, shut up. This isn't for the children. It's never, ever been about the children. You guys, at this point, it's so transparent what you're doing. And what they are doing over in the UK is, honestly, it looks to me like they never left the European Union. It is the most bizarre spectacle I've ever seen at this point. Watching these people who fought so hard to get out of the European Union continuously do the exact same things that the European Union are doing. And in this particular case, it's crapping on their citizenry by telling them a bold-faced lie. It's not, and never was, and never will be, about the children. This gentleman from the UK is lying to you, and he's doing it on BBC, by the way. That's where the clip came from. I don't even care who he is. At this point, he could even be Keir Starmer, and I just can't even recognize him. It doesn't matter. They're all the same drone. They're just clones of each other at this point. So, no. You know what? If you're listening to me in the UK, use a VPN. Screw this guy. Screw this guy. That last part is the one that got me the most. If you're thinking about using a VPN, don't. Just verify your age. That telegraphed everything I needed to know. At this point, they have no control over VPNs. That doesn't mean that they won't, but at this point, they clearly do not have any control whether or not somebody uses VPN or not. So they're making an appeal to your for the children side. And it's disgusting. Everything about this is wrong. And if you are a United Kingdom citizen, it's your duty to completely disobey this edict, this mandate, whatever the hell, this plea, this appeal to your sensitive side for the children. Don't do it, because you're just going to feed the beast. Now, let's do something completely different. We'll come back to the UK, I promise. But right now, I want to talk about this Rogoff guy. Bitcoin Magazine, Joachim Book, is going to give us a little bit of context about who this Harvard economist is and why everybody keeps clipping. And I'm guilty of it too. I've completely screenshotted one of his tweets, and it's because it's making the rounds. Why? If you've seen this Rogoff guy and you see this block of text on of a screenshotted tweet, here's the scoop. It's the T, man. It's the 911. It's Kenneth Rogoff. When he spoke, the Bitcoin hornet's nest came awake. When the celebrated Harvard economist and former chief economist at the International Monetary Fund yesterday publicly confessed that he was wrong on Bitcoin, he didn't do so gracefully. Instead, he doubled down. You see, it wasn't that his prediction in 2018 of Bitcoin's imminent doom and the Bitcoin price to quickly collapse was wrong. It was, number one, Trump crypto regulation was beneficial instead of the needed crackdown. Number two, Bitcoin was embraced and shockingly used by criminals. And not to be left behind, number three, Trump brazenly holds hundreds of millions of dollars in cryptocurrencies, seemingly without consequence. He's a private citizen. He can hold that. I mean, is it a conflict of interest? Yeah, kind of, but it doesn't matter. He's a private citizen. You don't think he's a private citizen? He's not in the military. If you're not in the military, you are a civilian. That makes you a private civilian. I'm sorry, but that's the way it works. And the president is not in the military. We've only had I think 2 presidents in the history of all the presidents that were active military, or at least wore a uniform. I mean, had either been in the military or was currently. I'm talking about like Eisenhower, Ike. I like Ike. You know, he was chief of staff. It was, I don't know. Let's continue with this. I mean, talk about willful ignorance. Scooby-Doo called and wants his villains back. Quote, "I would have gotten away with it too if it hadn't have been for your meddling kids. There's no other value to this thing. No other censorship resistance use case. No life savings outside the shady bank option. No instant global payments over Lightning." Even in that 2018 CNBC interview, Harvard economist Mr. Rogoff said regulation of the sector would lead to lower prices, not a catalyst for higher ones, as he now pretends. This smells like a salty rationalization, not a serious analysis. Rogoff's excellent book, This Time is Different, 8 Centuries of Financial Folly, and especially the freely available data behind the research for dozens of countries over hundreds of years, was a godsend during my university years. I really did learn much from him. When I finally met Rogoff in 2018 or so, it was a total kill your idols moment. He had just released his unfathomably stupid book, The Curse of Cash, about how we should ban cash because, criminals, and cash also makes monetary policy transmission worse and negative interest rates more difficult to impose. I was trying to explain to him the virtue of competitive note issuance and monetary freedom, and to my shock, he was sputtering nonsense about free banking and falsities about U.S. banking history, let alone the past monetary arrangements of Canada, Scotland, or Sweden, of which he knew nothing. The moment really struck me. I was young and not yet that disillusioned with elite knowledge and the much revered academic establishment, but I was speechless that a famous Harvard professor didn't know better. What? The skills and cognitive faculties and hard work that got you here have now been completely eroded? It was around this time that I started saying the most important thing I learned at Oxford was that you can have a PhD and still be an idiot. It was a wake-up call of astronaut meme proportions. I was in the big leagues, the hallowed halls of wisdom, interacting with the big names, talking to the smartest and most celebrated economists and economic historians in my field. And it turned out they were unread in all the things that matter. I remember a night at Oxford when I had to explain to a well-respected historian how loans in one bank end up as deposits in another, thus multiplying the money supply. It's textbook stuff. Elite university professors can be stupid? Oh yeah, totally. Bitcoin derangement syndrome, BDS, is a big bad monster that's taken many bright minds away from us well before my time. Many fiat elites became too enamored with their own egos, too stuck in the status quo that, by the way, has benefited them enormously. They often became blind to the errors of their past opinions. The correct intellectual approach when reality behaves differently from what you expected is to reassess your model. Maybe, just maybe, you got something wrong. The reasonable reaction to the Bitcoin price doing 13x or 1,220% in the 7 years since you loudly proclaimed its imminent death is to change your mind. Maybe I missed something. You ought to ask yourself, maybe there's something here that I couldn't see. Maybe, just maybe, there's true value in this worthless, speculative, techno-babbling disaster. I have almost lost all respect for legacy academics. We definitely need new institutions of higher education. Bitcoin is for anyone, but not everyone, and people get Bitcoin at the price they deserve, and for all I care, Rogoff can join the likes of Elizabeth Warren at the back of the line. All right. Well, a well-articulated piece about this Harvard academic, this Harvard economist, and former IMF guy. I didn't realize he also had worked at the IMF. It doesn't matter. He's right about academics, except he's wrong about one thing. When he says he has lost almost all of his respect for legacy academics, he's one step away from completing the transition to where he actually needs to be. I have no respect for higher education at this point. I have multiple degrees. And when I got them, these guys were my professors were pretty cool, and they did know a lot. But since then, academics at the university and college levels have been so polluted by the subsidies of student loans, which are 100% guaranteed by the government, not to the loan holder. No. I mean, they're guaranteeing that money those checks will be written directly to the university. If you didn't know, this is how it works. I'm a student at Texas Tech University. I go get a student loan. Does the bank send me a check? No, they don't. No, they don't. And this happens every semester, by the way. For as long as you're taking out new loans or adding to the loan that you've already got, this happens every semester, every spring, every fall, and in some cases, the 2 summer semesters or 1 summer semester, depending on where you're going to school. You do not get the check cut to you. That check goes directly to the institution that you're enrolled at. So in my case, Texas Tech University would get the check from the people making me the loan. They pay all the fees, all the student fees, all the tuition, whatever it is. Like if I'm in a dorm, then they're going to pay the housing fee. If I'm an out-of-state guy, then they're paying the out-of-state tuition fee. If I'm in-state, they're paying. You get it, right? Whatever's left over, and there is always cash left over, that goes directly to me. After all my college bills for that semester are paid, I get a check cut directly from the university. So this is why I call it a direct subsidy. A, because anybody can go get a student loan. It doesn't matter what your credit is. B, the United States government backs that loan 100% by doing C, sending a check from the United States government the lending institution directly to the institution that I'm enrolled at. And then I get money on the backside of that. That's how it works. And what's happened is the administrative load, and this is happening in healthcare. This is a mirror image of what's happening in healthcare. In the university or college setting, higher education, the subsidies have polluted the university and college system so bad that we now have much more administrative load than we have teaching and academic load. And I'm talking about the monetary payouts for salaries. We're paying more for secretaries and administrators and whatever it is that you want to call them, people that do not teach, that do not do research, that do not, in almost any way, shape, form, or fashion, directly support the student. We pay more for those people than we do for the people that actually teach them. We have a higher payload or payroll load than the people that actually go into classrooms and teach students, the people that actually go into a laboratory and discover shit, the people that actually write academic papers, the people that actually apply for grants and get money from somebody other than loan makers. Joaquin, I'm talking directly to you. Go ahead and take the last step. You should have zero respect for academic institutions at this point, but you are 100% correct. We need a completely new system of higher ed. And I think it'll be things like, there's a college in Austin that was started by a bunch of Bitcoiners and libertarians, and I can't remember the name of it. It's like Texas University at Austin, I believe is the name. The institutions like that, if they do well and if they are able to, deliver on their promises in the way that they're delivering on their promises, then this will be a model of new higher education, the model of higher education that we need, the model of higher education that, quite frankly, we deserve, because we do not deserve what institutions of higher education have become. It's freaking scary. Which brings me to this story. Nothing scary about crypto, according to Federal Reserve Governor Andre Bagansky from decrypt.co. Using cryptocurrencies to facilitate ordinary payments should be no more intimidating than swiping a debit card, Federal Reserve Governor Christopher Waller said on Tuesday. Quote, there's nothing to be afraid of when thinking about using smart contracts, tokenization, or, God forbid, distributed ledgers in everyday transactions, he said during a speech at the Wyoming Blockchain Symposium at Teton Village, Wyoming. Okay, so they're in Wyoming, whatever. This is simply new technology. Waller described stablecoins as a continuation of advancements in payments, pointing to the early days of physical cards that lacked magnetic strips or chips. Stablecoins have evolved from the original purpose, he acknowledged, but, quote, have the potential to improve retail and cross-border payments while also making it easier to access the U.S. dollar globally. And that's the real reason right there. Access to the United States dollar globally. This is what stablecoins are being perverted into. And I'm talking Tether and USDC specifically. All the rest of the stable coins, honestly, could fall off a cliff and nobody would ever miss them. I'm telling you right now. Tether falls off a cliff and, well, there's a bunch of people that have problems. But this isn't about enabling faster payments and like a digital credit card for you. No. This is specifically designed, or not designed, that the stable coins were meant to do a thing. The United States government is perverting that thing so that they can print unlimited amounts of US dollars and ship them somewhere other than the United States to basically put inflation on the backs of poor people somewhere else. It'll boomerang. The chickens will come home to roost in the United States, but not immediately. It is a boom to these guys. Continuing, quote, as the stablecoin market matured, firms found that properties of stablecoins using distributed ledger technology, including 24/7 availability, fast transferability, and their freely circulating nature, could be attractive for other use cases as well. Like what? Shipping unlimited cash? Okay, what? Waller, who was appointed during U.S. President Donald Trump's first term, told the Wall Street Journal last month that he would accept a role as Fed chair if he was asked. He also dissented from the central bank's decision to hold rates steady in July for a fifth straight meeting, calling for a quarter percentage point rate cut alongside Governor Michelle Bowman. On Tuesday, Bowman gave her own address at the Wyoming confab saying, quote, "You don't need a tech background to appreciate the opportunity that blockchain provides to the financial system." Woohoo! All right. Waller recognized on Wednesday that some have been fearful or skeptical of innovation in the payment space, but he underscored that, quote, "There is nothing scary about crypto transactions just because they take place within the realm of decentralized finance." Oh my God. Remember what Joaquin was saying about somebody who should know better completely missing the point? Oh my. The payment doesn't take place within the realm of decentralized finance. It is its own thing. He's bringing decentralized finance in there in this sentence for a reason. I don't know why, but let's continue with the Genius Act's passage created a federal framework for stablecoin issuers, and Waller said that this could help U.S. dollar peg tokens reach their, quote, "full potential" in the United States. Although his comments were geared towards private sector innovation, Waller's remarks follows the debut of Wyoming stablecoin earlier this week. Revenue generated from the token's reserve is expected to go towards the state's school foundation fund. Oh, again, it's for the children. Oh, well, that makes everything just A-okay. The Fed has played a role in supporting payments technology by providing infrastructure for clearing and settlement to financial institutions. That has been the use case since the central bank's earlier days, Waller noted anyway. As stablecoins became ingrained in the financial world, Waller said the Fed is conducting research on tokenization, smart contracts, artificial intelligence in payments. Because who doesn't want artificial intelligence in everything you do, including me giving you a 50-cent piece for a piece of gum? Oh my God. Artificial intelligence in payments? That should scare the piss out of everybody. Although conservatives have warned against the dangers of dollar peg token issued by the Fed, Waller did not explicitly reference central bank digital currencies. Quote, "It is important to understand trends in payments technology so we can continue to support private sector firms that leverage our infrastructures, as well as understand whether emerging technologies could provide opportunities to improve our existing platforms and services." So there you go. There's your suit speak for the day. I don't trust him. I don't trust any of these guys. I don't care that he called for a quarter point rate cut. He knew he wasn't going to get one anyway. And honestly, quite honestly, after this week, I mean, I called it last week. I told you Thursday and Friday of last week that this was going to be a shitty week for price action. And I was absolutely 100% correct, man, because it's just the hits keep on coming. We get bad housing. We got the FOMAC minutes. And every single time I had 5 flagged dates for this week, and we're not done yet. We've got a couple more days to go, and then we've got one more piece of news coming out at the first part of next week, and then we should be kind of free and clear for at least a little bit, hopefully, at least as far as United States Federal Reserve news and economic data news is concerned. We can only hope. But getting back to this Waller dude, it's not for the children, and they don't care about the college. It's all bullshit. They just want a mechanism to be able to print unlimited amounts of money that don't technically or directly affect, at least in the short term, the United States economy by driving inflation higher. They want to be able to print oodles of cash, send it to Europe, destroy what's left of their economy first, and anybody else who gets in our way, which means Australia, New Zealand, anybody in the West, Italy, North Africa, over there in Israel and Palestine and Gaza and all that shit, and Russia. We will ship these stable coins as we print debt instrumentation out of the United States until the world looks level, and we might as well be dropping nuclear bombs on the rest of the economies of the world as we do it. And that may be exactly why they want to do it. Nobody gets out of this alive, except maybe for Arthur Hayes, who has shifted his focus to longevity after a Trump pardon and invests in stem cell venture. Ah, God's own kitchen. Yes, this is where all the billionaires like to congratulate each other on being billionaires, I guess. Amin Hakshanis has this one for Cointelegraph. BitMEX co-founder and Bitcoin billionaire Arthur Hayes has taken a board seat and a major stake in a stem cell company following his March pardon from President Donald Trump. And that wiped clean his conviction for Bank Secrecy Act violations, which would never happen for you or me, because we're not billionaires. But Hayes, who built BitMEX into one of the largest derivatives platform before it came under regulatory fire, has been a regular patient at this particular stem cell firm's clinics in Mexico and Bangkok for over a year. He told Bloomberg, quote, "I want to live as long as possible and as healthy as possible," Hayes said, noting that more countries are relaxing rules around the stem cell use case. Oh, Jesus. Now, this probably is for the children, like, harvesting. I know it's disgusting, but where else you're I'm telling you, man, you don't. Stem cells are great, and if we could get them in a couple of different fashions, it would be it. I don't have a problem with it, but they're kind of coming from fetuses. I know but that's the most totipotent cell that you can get your hands on is fetal stem cells. I know it's disgusting, but in March, Trump pardoned 4 former BitMEX executives, including Hayes, Benjamin Dalo, Gregory Dwyer, and Samuel Reed, who had pled guilty to Bank Secrecy Act violations tied to very weak anti-money laundering controls at the chain, or at the exchange, rather. Hayes has bet on longevity, and it comes as crypto titans increasingly funnel wealth into the sector. In 2021, Vitalik Buterin contributed $25 million in Shiba Inu tokens to the Future of Life Institute and over $350,000 to the SENS Research Foundation to, quote, reimagine aging. All of these people are psychotic. See, this is what happens when you don't believe in God. You're terrified of death when all it is you walking through a door. Think of it like this. You've got a toddler, and you go, okay, son, it's time to figure out how to get into an elevator and go to a different floor in this hotel. And no, doesn't want to walk through that door. But what's on the other end. It's safe. It's going to be okay. Maybe you yourself may have a little fear about getting into that elevator because, I don't know, maybe you're scared the cable will snap, but you know better. Deep down, you know better because you've been here. Toddler hasn't. So when I look at these tech billionaires, all I see are fucking children who don't understand the way the universe works. No, you don't blink out of existence. Why do I say that? Because you can't destroy energy. Whether it's patterned energy, unpatterned energy, energy, by the laws of thermodynamics, cannot be destroyed. And if you think that your consciousness or patterned energy just blinks out of existence the moment that they put you into a 6-foot hole, you don't understand how the universe works. And clearly, neither does Arthur Hayes, because he has called life extension a cause worth fighting for, framing it in a way to end the generational loss caused by aging. Quote, just even the process of aging, turning into something that just becomes reversible and it being a regular thing for people to live 1.5, 2 centuries and then go even further from there, Buterin said, anyway. Former Coinbase executive Balaji Srinivasan, I never can pronounce his name, who also co-founded Council, a genomics startup focused on affordable genetic testing for reproductive health and disease screening. Meanwhile, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong co-founded another genetic startup called New Limit, which raised $130 million this year. Hayes has also remained active in crypto's financial frontier. His family office Maelstrom has backed digital asset treasury companies, publicly traded firms stockpiling tokens on their balance sheet. And last year, Hayes' Maelstrom Fund also launched a Bitcoin grant program offering $50,000 to $150,000 annually, with up to $250,000 per developer, to support open source work to strengthen Bitcoin scalability, resilience, privacy, and censorship resistance. It happens to every billionaire that, like Gates, has no background whatsoever in biology, yet he wants to be a virologist. He's talking about vaccinations and vaccines, and which means that you should know probably something about how viruses work. I know more about how viruses fucking work than Bill Gates does because I have the background. I sat in virology class with PhDs, and they told us about how these things actually work. Gates didn't. You know, I mean, he's a billionaire, and all of a sudden he's now responsible for vaccinating the world's children? Nah, man, there's something else going on. And then you got Vitalik Buterin, you got Arthur Hayes, you got all these people, whether they're in Bitcoin or out of Bitcoin, but all these tech billionaires, for some reason, they gravitate. When they've got, I guess it's because when you have nothing better to do with the rest of your life, you try to figure out how to be more bored with it by messing around in God's kitchen. I don't know, man. That's probably not going to end up being very good for anybody. Let's run the numbers. Futures and commodities. West Texas Intermediate oil cracking almost a full point to the upside this morning. $63.34 per barrel, and Brent North Sea is up almost a full point itself to $67.50. Natural gas is up 2 3/4 of a point, and gasoline is up, 1 1/4 point to $2.15 a gallon. Metals are pretty much mixed today. Gold is drifting down into the red, 0.12% to the downside. Silver is up in the green, 0.8%. Platinum up 1 1/3. Copper is up 0.17%. Palladium in the red by 2/3 of a point. Ag is fully mixed this morning. Biggest winner is going to be corn. No, it's not. It's coffee at 3.11% to the upside. Biggest loser is chocolate, the other dark meat, 2.16% to the downside. Meanwhile, live cattle down 1/10 of a point. Lean hogs down 1/4 of a point, and feeder cattle are also down 1/10 of a point. I guess people in legacy finance are not having a good day either, because the Dow is down almost a 1/2 point, as is the NASDAQ, as is the S&P, and the S&P Mini is down itself 1/4 of 1 point. I'm looking at $112,600. That brings us to a $2.24 trillion market cap for Bitcoin. You can only purchase 33.7 ounces of shiny metal rocks with your 1 Bitcoin, of which there are 19,909,310.19 of, and average fees per block are low, 0.02 BTC taken in fees on a per block basis. There's like 35 blocks this morning carrying 135,000 unconfirmed transactions waiting to clear at high priority rates of 3 Satoshis per VByte. Low priority is going to get you in at 1. And then we've dropped in hash rate, but only by a little bit. 927 exahashes per second is where we stand right now. And from Tether coming right for us, I've got activity from Pies with 121 sat says, thank you, sir, no thank you. Regalecki, 100,000 sat says Regalecki. Turkey with 500 says nothing. Psyduck with 748 says Psyduck. Jason High with 500 says, thank you for your service. I appreciate that. Progressively Worse with 555 says, let's see if this works now. I had to reinstall Fountain. The last week or so, all my boosts have been throwing an error message, and my npub has been unreadable. Thank you once again. Progressively Worse. Well, it seems to have worked because I can see you and I see the sats too. Thank you for those. Yodel with 512 says, good call on the week being rough for price. Yeah, I know. I wish I was wrong, but hey, it is what it is. Progressively Worse with another 555 says, thank you. No, thank you. Paul Sir9 with 500 says, thanks for another insightful episode. Devil's Post Pile wakes some memories. Other people know it as Devil's Tower. He's talking about the cover art for that episode. God's Death with 237 says, thank you, sir. No, thank you. And that's the weather report. Welcome to part 2 of the news that you can use. Texas Slim is on Nostr, finally. Not sure how active you may find him, but he is definitely on Nostr. He got in contact with me through DMs and sent me his npub, which I then went to Primal to go look up. And Primal on my computer is almost unusable. And I don't know if that's Primal's fault or the fact that my browser is out of date, but I'm having to use something called jumble.social. So if you don't know who Texas Slim is, this is a guy that I've been friends with for quite a while now, ever since I moved to Canyon, Texas, from Lubbock, Texas. I hooked up with Texas Slim, and he kind of got known in the Bitcoin space for the beef initiative, and that came directly out of an article he wrote called The Harvest of Deception. And he talks about the food in the United States, the food industry in the United States. And he talks about, he went on a very long harvest. Like he literally farmed himself out and said, hey, I'll do freelance work or contractor work, and I'll go out on the road and we'll do all these harvest seasons. And he saw kind of firsthand just how bad the food situation is in the United States. And that sort of launched him. But I had been trying to get him on Nostr for a long, long time, and he's finally done so. So I'm going to have a jumble.social, which is a Nostr client. And if you're not using jumble.social, you should at least check it out. It's lightweight. It's very responsive. I like the layout. Jumble.social. That's jumble.social. I will have Texas Slim's npub in the show notes. And so all you'll have to do is click it, go to jumble.social. If you have a way to log in using your Nostr, do so. Otherwise, you can just copy the npub portion of that URL and take it to whatever Nostr client you want to take it to. Pop it in the search, and you'll end up finding Texas Slim. Highly recommended npub to follow there. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that Texas Slim is now present on Nostr. Steak and Shake, well, they've cut their payment fees by 50% with Bitcoin. So we got some new numbers coming out of our favorite burger joint, and it's written by James from lightning.news. Steak and Shake said that it realized a 50% reduction in payment fees compared to traditional credit cards. Founded in 1934, the classic American burger restaurant embraced Bitcoin payments earlier this year across its United States and European company-operated restaurants. This initiative is one of the clearest examples of Bitcoin moving beyond speculative investment into practical use as a retail payment method. With card processing fees continuing to climb, and they are, merchants in the U.S. paid $172 billion in 2023, all by itself. That's what they paid in payment fees. Holy shit. Retailers are always looking for ways to improve efficiency. Steak and Shake's experience confirms Bitcoin's acceptance translates into tangible savings. The company reported up to 50% reduction in payment fees compared to traditional credit cards. And in retail sectors where net profit margins typically range from 2 to 5%, having payment costs, like cut them in half, can significantly enhance profitability or fund reinvestment in quality technology or customer experience. But cost is only part of the story. Bitcoin transactions settle faster and are immune to chargebacks, offering operational benefits. For payment operations teams, this means fewer disputes, lower fraud risk, and more reliable cash flow, advantages that can reduce overhead and administrative burden. Perhaps most compelling, from a revenue growth perspective, that is how Bitcoin acceptance has influenced customer behavior. On the day of launch, Steak and Shake accounted for 0.2% of all global transactions. 0.2% of all global Bitcoin transactions. Following the rollout, the company observed a sustained spike in customer traffic, reflecting that Bitcoin acceptance meets emerging customer expectations, especially among younger demographics. This dynamic underscores an important consideration for retail payment strategists. Enabling Bitcoin payments is both a facility upgrade and a customer acquisition strategy focused on engaging tech-savvy, high-value segments increasingly comfortable with Bitcoin and Lightning payments. Steak and Shake's decision to place Bitcoin on equal footing with cash and credit cards signals a shift. By normalizing Bitcoin payments as a standard option, the company has positioned itself as a future-forward brand willing to adopt emerging technologies pragmatically rather than as just a marketing afterthought. This approach is instructive for enterprises weighing digital payment innovation. Bitcoin is no longer a fringe payment experiment, but a legitimate component of an omni-channel payment strategy capable of enhancing brand quality and competitive positioning. Broader market data reinforces the significance of Steak and Shake's move. Crypto payment volume surpassed $1.3 trillion in 2024, with projections suggesting retail crypto transactions could exceed $4.5 trillion annually by the year 2030. Meanwhile, surveys show 75% of U.S. retailers aim to accept crypto or stablecoins within the next 2 years, reflecting mainstream momentum. For CFOs, CROs, and CTOs, as well as payment strategists in retail, Steak and Shake's payments, or rather, Steak and Shake presents a real-world benchmark. They got cost efficiency, they have operational streamlining, they have customer engagement, and they have brand modernization. As enterprise retail continues to digitize payments and diversify rails, the Steak and Shake example bolsters the amount or the argument for Bitcoin's maturity as a commerce medium. So there you go. The shit worked for Steak and Shake, and it's continuing to work. They have sustained Bitcoin payments. That's kind of like the most important part there, by the way. Just remember that very soon, Jack Dorsey, his company Square, which is that's Cash App, the Square company has Cash App. It's the umbrella company for Jack and its payments and banking and finance rails and all that stuff. That's all under Square. And Square is planning on rolling out Bitcoin payments directly in-app for Cash App, which means everybody that's got Cash App, whether you've got it on your phone for personal use or you're a retail place and you're using Cash App, you're going to be able to take Bitcoin payments if you so choose. It'll be a choice. You won't, you can either say, I want to enable it, or you keep it disabled. If you enable it, it doesn't mean that you can't take cash or that you can't, or that Cash App won't be able to process credit cards. You'll be able to do whatever the hell it is that you already do with Cash App, but that's coming soon. So think of all the retail guys out there that have Cash App, and they a lot of them are small businesses, by the way. Like Walmart doesn't use Cash App. They don't need to. They've got their own payment thing. But if you go to a farmer's market, you might want to look around at just how many Square symbols, the symbol or the branding for the company Square, you might want to look at how many people are using Cash App at farmers markets and really, really small retail environments. It's more than you think. It's a lot more than you think. Now that I've gotten over my UK rant, let's charge that son bitch back up. The UK needs to hear from Bitcoin supporters, and this app sends your member of parliament a message in just one click. This is Frank Corva from Bitcoin Magazine. Bitcoin Policy UK believes that United Kingdom citizens need to speak up if the British government is going to get policy and regulation around Bitcoin right. Yeah, good luck, dude. Hence, excuse me, they've launched an easy-to-use app that helps Brits send a letter to their member of parliament to advocate for Bitcoin and Bitcoin adjacent topics. Quote, we've built the app to make it simple for anyone to connect with their MP and push for clear, sensible Bitcoin policy, said Bitcoin Policy UK co-founder Susie Violet Ward. Quote, the UK has largely ignored Bitcoin, and poor regulation and tax policies have shifted growth and innovation while driving businesses out of the country. It's time to change that, she added. Users begin by inputting their full name, email address, and postcode. Note that the app doesn't require your address or phone number, as it was designed by a privacy-conscious Bitcoiner and new member of the Bitcoin Policy UK team named Sammy Shams. Then they select from one of the following 4 issues that's most important to them: CBDC opposition, classification of Bitcoin by the FCA, Bitcoin tax treatment, and finally, strategic Bitcoin reserve. And after that, the app will generate a ready-made letter. I'm pretty sure this is all AI-driven, tailored to the user's chosen issue, and the app will give you the option to send it to your MP from the app, or you can download it, print it, and send it yourself if that's what you want to do. Members of Bitcoin Policy UK have been hard at work within the halls of power attempting to educate MPs and other members of government about Bitcoin and why it's essential that the UK embraces it. But they can't do this work alone. They need British Bitcoin enthusiasts to speak up to buoy their efforts. Quote, decisions being made in Westminster right now will shape the future of Bitcoin in the UK, said Bitcoin Policy UK team in a press release. The future of Bitcoin in the UK depends on all of us. Well, right now, it looks like the UK is more wrapped up in saving all the children from being flooded with pornography. Because yes, like the person at the head of the show today said that children don't go look for porn. Yeah, right. Oh God, it doesn't matter. This isn't about the children. It's about getting you to facial scan your face, because it's not just say, okay, well, fine, I'm 32 years old. No. That's not how this works anymore. You used to be able to do that, but no, not anymore. You got to use your phone, because they clearly don't give a shit for people that don't have a smartphone. You're going to have to verify your age by scanning your face. That's what this is all about. So as far as the Bitcoin policy in the UK, or the UK Bitcoin policy team is concerned, I'm happy that they're doing this, but their noise that they're trying to make is being completely drowned out by the absolute idiocy that the UK government has found themselves embroiled in. Do you know, like Jeremy Clarkson of Clarkson Farms? And if you're not watching Clarkson's Farm, you need to. I love that show. Jeremy Clarkson is one of the guys from, now I've lost the name of the show that he got famous on. Top Gear. Drove very, very fast cars, like all the time. Very, very expensive supercars. And him and his buddies would talk about it. And he got a boatload of money for doing that show for 25 years or however long that thing went. And he bought a farm. Actually, he didn't buy a farm. He just took over his family's farm because he wanted to become a farmer. And now he tweeted out, it was either yesterday or the day before, that there's a new UK law that is basically, if it gets passed, there's a very real and present danger that farmland could simply be taken from the farmer without their permission and given to what's called the councils. Now, the council in the UK, it's sort of like in the United States, we have county commissioners. You can think of it like that, except in the United States, the county commissioners can't steal your land. They do other nasty shit, but it's not like this, where the city council or the county council or commissioners or whatever, where they just take your land. So Frank, if you're listening to me, the Bitcoin Policy UK group, they're going to have to make a lot more noise than this, because what UK is going through right now, they are edging right next they're snuggling up to civil war in a way that I don't think anybody in the UK really understands. They are a fucking nose hair away from all hell breaking loose. It is one insult on the British people after another, and at one point or another, these good people that have been very, very patient and very, very polite with their own government, they're not going to be so polite and they're not going to be so patient. But in the meantime, for anything with Bitcoin to have any kind of positive momentum, it's going to have to be heard. And right now, I can guarantee you the Bitcoin Policy UK team is not being heard, like at all. So if you are in the UK, if you want to find out where this app is, go to the URL. It's in the show notes of this story from Bitcoin Magazine. Click it, and you will be able to find it for yourself. Then get the app and do what it says so that you can at least have a fighting chance to make enough noise that Bitcoin actually gets heard above the din of the clown show that's going on inside of the circus tent wrapped around by a dumpster fire. It's just fucking ridiculous. Okay, so Trump-backed World Liberty stablecoin has been added to the Coinbase roadmap. Possible listing coming. Okay, let's just kind of pause here for a second. I saw that Coinbase has listed something called, I think it's called Worthless Coin. Somebody spun up a shitcoin. It's got enough of a market cap that it's being listed by Coinbase, but its name is something like either Nothing Coin or Worthless Coin or something like that, and it's been listed. So honestly, for my 2 cents, I don't really give a shit that Trump-backed World Liberty stablecoin is being added to the Coinbase roadmap. And I'm not going to cover it because Coinbase would list a pile of dog crap if they could. So you know what? Let's just end it right here. Give you back your day. I will see you on the other side.
This has been Bitcoin and I'm your host, David Bennett. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and hope to see you again real soon. Have a great day.